Hi Joyful Chefs, I'm excited because today I'm in the kitchen with my dad making a savory dessert called corn porridge, and this recipe is vegan, so let's get started. My dad begins by cleaning the silk off 8 ears of corn. You want to wash the corn, make sure that it's nice and clean. Next, my dad is going to grate all of this corn on this amazing galvanized grater. You want to get all of the juices from the corn, get all of those starches out. You can also use a food processor, but the traditional way is using a grater. You want to use a variety of corn that is very high in cornstarch, so a sweet corn or sugar corn that is low in starch may not work well in this recipe. With each ear of corn, you want to scrape all of the juices and starch off, because this is what's gonna thicken the corn porridge and make it creamy and delicious. So here I have roughly 3.5 cups of grated corn. I'm gonna set this aside and prepare the dried coconut. I will crack open one dried coconut and I'm gonna grate this as finely as I can. You can also do this in a food processor, but again, we're going with the grater just because of tradition. I have gotten roughly 1 cup of grated coconuts, and to this I'll add 2 cups of room temperature water and mix this together with the grated corn. Next, my dad is going to mix this together really well, trying to squeeze out some of the extra milk and juices from the coconut and corn. Definitely make sure your hands are very clean, and this process is important to get as much liquids out of the mixture as possible. The next step is to run this through a strainer and squeeze out as much of the juices as you can, and it's that juice, that starchy liquid, that's going to give you the corn porridge. Once you've gotten down to the pulp, you can add an additional 1 cup of water and squeeze out any extra liquid that you can from the mixture. Next, I'll pour this mixture through a fine strainer over a large pot. I want to get out as much of the corn grits as I can. You can see that the strainer did capture quite a bit of pulp. My dad does add 1 tablespoon of the pulp into the strained liquids. He insists this gives a better texture, and I agree, but it is optional. To sweeten this mixture, I'll add in 3/4 cups of coconut sugar. If you're not a vegan, you can make this recipe using non-vegan products and it will be just as delicious. To give the corn porridge a nice creamy consistency, I'll stir in 3/4 cups of vegan condensed milk. You can add more or less according to your taste. And next, we want to add some flavor and aromatics. So I'm going to add in a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg, 3 bay leaves or siliment leaves, 1 stick of ceylon spice, and 1 stick of cassia spice or cinnamon. Stir this all together, and I'm gonna set this over a low temperature on the stove. Because of the cornstarch in this mixture, you want to stir it constantly. Don't let the starch settle or else it's going to burn at the bottom of the pot. And also, if you let that starch settle, it's gonna create lumps and it's not gonna give you a nice, smooth, creamy corn porridge that you wanna have. This is gonna cook for about 30 minutes. You wanna make sure that all of the cornstarch is properly cooked. But don't worry, this is definitely one of the best savory desserts ever, and it's vegan. So as you stir, it's gonna thicken up because of all of the cornstarch and all of the coconut. You wanna keep stirring this. Now you can remove the bay leaves and spices if you wish. If you do leave them in as the corn porridge cools and sets, it's gonna continue to infuse those flavors. Now to add some creaminess and richness to the porridge, I'll add in 2 tablespoons of vegan butter. And once you see those bubbles begin to form, the corn porridge is ready. Pour the mixture into 2 ungreased pyrex dishes, roughly 1 inch in thickness, and immediately it's going to begin to set. Let this completely cool to room temperature, and as it does, it's going to firm up and give you a texture similar to a custard. Once the corn porridge is completely cool, it's now set and I'm so excited to slice in. This is so smooth and creamy, but the taste and texture is beyond phenomenal. Whether you make this vegan or not, it's going to be amazing and delicious. Now I love those speckles of nutmeg and spices. All of the aromatics and flavors come through so smoothly. They melt together with every single bite. Oh my gosh, this is one of the best things that I've ever eaten. Corn porridge is best served chilled, and it's amazing as a dessert, a snack, a breakfast, lunch, dinner. You get the idea. Corn porridge is one of the hallmark foods of my childhood. I didn't realize how unique and incredibly cultural my family menu was until I saw that my friends had no clue what I was talking about as I described my food to them. I'm really honored to be sharing one of my dad's amazing recipes with you guys. It is reflective of his rich Trini Spanish cultural background. If you'll try this recipe, be sure to let me know. Let me know if you did it vegan or not. And you can check out more of my recipes at Erica's Joyful Oven on Facebook and YouTube. Until next time, happy baking!